who has been referred to as a diminutive dynamo and crazy talented firecracker. She thinks those descriptions are quite accurate. She is an ordained minister for Senators Center for Spiritual Living. She serves as an interim minister as well through her focus ministry, Fearlessly Feral Living. Her podcast is of the same name and is widely heard and with listeners in 67 countries across the globe. She is sought after dynamic speaker and is a powerful workshop facilitator. She has written and published 3 books. That's what that means. She's finally got that last one done. Yoo-hoo! The latest of which is her seminal work, How to Live Fearlessly Feral. Her home base is in rural, I have a hard time saying that word, northern Nevada. And when she lives with her 2 dogs, 2 horses, 2 cats, and she cooks up fantastic meals, growing up some wonderful veggies and flowers, and generally enjoying a rich and full life in the beautiful high desert. And I really wanted to say in a partridge in a pear tree. Now I would like to invite up Karen Linsley. Karen.
That's a Christmas song, right? Partridge in a pear tree. Hi, everybody. Oh my goodness, we grew. When I sit up front, I can't see who's come in. I can't see who's come in. So before I get started on my talk today, they gave me permission. Actually, they told me. They told me to announce that, yes, my 3rd book is out. It's ready. I brought copies for sale back there on the table. You can also get a digital version wherever you buy your digital books. And the print version is available from me directly or from my publisher. Not yet available on Amazon. I don't know what the deal is with that, but we're going with it. So you can still get the print version from me or from my publisher. And again, I've got books back there, and it's pretty exciting. I designed a year-long program to go along with this book, and that launches in January. So if you've been feeling like you want to change in your life, come see me. You might want to enroll in this program. It's going to be all online, all on Zoom. Okay, so today I want to talk about the solstice. And the solstice is, you talk around here about one path, one God, many paths to God. And the solstice for me is another path. And it's a path into the light for me. And solstice has become more special to me than Christmas, honestly, over the last 8-10 years. Just kind of grown into that. And so, yeah, I went when they called me or texted me or emailed me or however they reached me. I forget how they did that. And I saw the date. I knew immediately when I wanted to speak to. So just this morning, guys, just this morning, I saw this quote, and I actually bought the book. I love digital books. You can get books immediately. I bought the book. The book is called Winter Solstice. It's by Nina McLaughlin. And she has a chapter in there called Burn Something Today. And in that chapter, she said this quote, and there's this one long run-on sentence in here that's absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to try and speak the whole sentence in one breath. We'll see what happens. She says, "We're on the edge, teetering toward the other side of something. But what? Winter? It's more than that. On the solstice, all oppositions are alive, not in tension, but melting together, joined in the rolling, tolling ring of things. Tonight, there is space for all of it at once. The irreconcilables, the rival forces, the great dualities. Tonight, it's not either or, but both and. light and dark and night and day and winter and summer and love and beginning and end and pleasure and punishment and tension and relief and abundance and lack and fear and union and despair and stillness and revolution and illness and health and endlessness and end and tenderness and anguish and creation and destruction and flame and snow and thinking and doing and nothing and all and here and gone. And that's her take on solstice. And I read that and I thought, oh my goodness, there's another quote to insert in my talk today. That's just beautiful. So I like to celebrate solstice because it is the return of the light. And but I also think of solstice metaphorically as the end of one era and the beginning of a new one. We've been in darkness for a while now. And I don't know about you, but when the days are long, when the days are short and the darkness is long, and when things kind of settle into a quiet after the busyness of summer, I like to retreat a little. I like to slow down a little. I like to review what happened in the last year. And I like to look at it with an eye towards what's going on in my life that isn't really serving me very well anymore. And then I like to get into creativity and ask myself, what would I like to replace that with? If I'm going to release that stuff that's not working so well anymore, what am I going to replace that with? Because, when we release, there's a void. And we are at choice. We get to fill it up with good, yummy stuff or not. And of course, you know what happens if you don't fill it up yourself. Something else fills it up. And I'm not usually happy with those results. So I do that every year at this time. And I think it's a great time to review and release what doesn't serve us and embrace the new. So this day is sacred and profound. And I like to do rituals on solstice. And I will be doing one later on this afternoon at home. And it occurred to me that you guys might like to participate in your own little personal solstice while I move on with my talk. So I'm going to ask you to just take a deep breath and settle in and get yourself in an open, warm, welcoming space for this new light. And if you've got any tension anywhere in your body, send some loving, compassionate breath to it and let it gently release. We are now sitting in a place of relaxation and opening up. And I declare this space a sanctuary. I welcome those four directions that provide us with wonderful things. East, with inspiration, with new ideas and new beginnings and unlimited possibilities. And south, with its passion and transformative power. And west, with its gentle flowing action and intuitive certainty. With west, we are receptive to the coming together of consciousness realms of thought and the subconscious beliefs and feelings. I just love that we live in the West. That's such yummy stuff. And north, with its stability and its structure and its organization and security. So we have all these things swimming around us that we are aware of on this day of solstice, this day of welcoming the light. And as we sit in here in the quiet, all the busyness of what's going on out there is released, fully present in the here and now. In contemplation of what do you want to release in your life? What is no longer working for you? We can release that with gratitude because at some point it's served and it served very well. But we grow, we change. And what used to work maybe doesn't work so well. We've outgrown it like we might have outgrown an old pair of shoes or a article of clothing. And so we release that and then we get to contemplate. What new do I want to bring in? And in this day, when there's still a lot of darkness, we remember what Martin Luther King once said. Darkness can't drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And so we welcome the light into our lives, and we welcome it to bring in anything that is unlike light, anything that might seem a little dark. And with that light, it replaces the darkness. It illuminates all the darkness, and it illuminates all the things within us that no longer serve. And so as of today, negativity is replaced with positivity. The urge to rest and burrow under the covers is replaced with renewed energy. Discouragement is replaced with hope. Despair is replaced with confidence and joy. Grief is replaced with delight in the beautiful, creative process that is always born from darkness. But only if we choose to use it. We rest in those times of darkness. We retreat and we process feelings. But like it says, life is all about balance. We move in and out of balance like a teeter-totter. You swing past balance. It's in the center, but you're on one end or the other. And we swing past that balance point. I have a teacher, his name's Reverend David Alt. He once wrote a book called Where Regret Cannot Find Me, Essays from the Spiritual Path. And in this book he said, it is the divine paradox of sadness and joy, dark and light, tears and laughter that turn our inward dial of life to the setting called full experience. And isn't it true, I guess, we seem to need sadness to experience joy. We seem to need tears to experience laughter. We seem to need the dark in order to appreciate the light and in order to get the full experience of all that life has to offer. And this is what I'm here to encourage today, the full experience. This is what life is all about. And in this full experience, we do not deny the darkness, nor shame it, nor try to hide it, nor eliminate it. We embrace it fully and completely. And then the light comes. Because when we embrace the darkness, it loses its passion and its power within us. And it gently releases itself. And then we get to replace that dark place, that void that was left, with light. And we have this beautiful, glorious, wonderful light. And with it comes a lightheartedness that we've never experienced before. This morning on the way up here, there was a rainbow. Now, this wasn't just any old rainbow. This was a rainbow to end all rainbows. It was the full arch. It was bright. It was in my face. It was with me the whole trip until I hit Kingsbury Grade, and I got to drive under it, which is really cool. And as I was I'm calculating, I'm looking at the clock on the dash, and I'm thinking, how many times can I stop and take pictures of this rainbow before I'm late to Unity? I had to stifle myself. I only stopped twice to take pictures of the rainbow. I wanted to stop several more times. Um, and while I was watching this rainbow and enjoying it thoroughly, I was listening to one of my favorite musical artists. Her songs are my prayers. It's Barbara Streisand, and the album is called Yentl, and it's from a movie called Yentl. And in that movie, there's a song called A Piece of Sky. And the song talks about how at one point in our lives, we step outside and we recognize and we realize all of a sudden that we have only been experiencing a tiny little piece of sky. And we set an intention and we make a realization that we want to experience more in our life. And we go out and we experience the full experience, all of the sky, every bit of it. And so I sang that song on the way here. I always sing on my way to a talk because it warms up my voice so that I can speak better. And sang that song on the way here and felt the power and the energy in the song. And said, so I started having a conversation with myself because I do that. Karen, this is why we do the work we do, so that other people can experience the full sky, all of it, every bit of it. If I had one wish, one intention, one affirmative prayer, one anything at all for anybody that I encounter in life, it's that you all experience the full sky, all of it, every last bit of it. That if you do have darkness, that it serves a purpose in your life simply to nudge you gently towards a full experience. Because that's what life is all about. That's what solstice means to me. And sometimes we experience that darkness and we get cracks. There's this thing called a kintsugi vase. These are beautiful vases. They're vases that have been broken. And haven't we all been broken at some point in our life? Well, the folks that make these kintsugi vases, they put the vases back together and they fill the cracks with gold. And these vases end up being more beautiful because of the cracks. The gold makes them have more character. The vases have more character. They're more beautiful because of the cracks. And I like to think that that's, as we go through life and we get somewhat broken here and there, we fill those cracks, those breaks with gold, and we come out looking absolutely beautiful and glorious and full of character. And we come out having the full experience of life. That's what I think happens in this thing from darkness to light. And so I celebrate solstice every single year. And I go through the process every year, every winter, of doing an annual review and thinking about what I want to release. And then I move today, on this day, I move into celebration. And what do I want to embrace this year? Because everything is created twice. First, it's created in our consciousness. And then it moves out into the world as physical manifestation. So everything I do was born of a thought. Everything that gets manifest in the world was somewhere, some way, somehow born of a thought. When I work with my interim communities, the first thing I do with them is say, go within. What is your thought? What is your consciousness? Because whatever's in the thought, whatever's in the consciousness is manifesting out there. And isn't that like this darkness and this light that I've been talking about? We can embrace that darkness and use it and learn from it and treat it with compassion. And then it releases itself, and then we're ready to embrace the new with enthusiasm and new ideas and great stuff. So today we take advantage of this new light that's coming to us, even though it's not very light outside right now, but there's a rainbow out there. It's coming. It's coming. So I hope you're feeling the light coming into you now. I hope you're enjoying this little journey from darkness to light. I'd like to say thank you to all of you for indulging me in this little experiential thing today. It's a little bit different than the talks I usually do. Usually I'm all about this is the practice and this is the principle. And today we're just doing spiritual experience, imagining the darkness and imagining the light, and loving the darkness even if it's a little unpleasant and a little inconvenient, loving it anyway. Because I can't help myself. That's a spiritual practice. And then we embrace the light and we get those new ideas and we move into that creative process that is oh so much fun. And I say thank you to all the gifts that those directions that I mentioned earlier bring to us, because they are very absolutely beautiful and wonderful. Those gifts of the East, the inspiration that we get from that, the new ideas, the gifts of the South, that hot passion and that transformative power, the gifts from where we live in the West here, intuition and flow, and the North with the stability and the structure. I thank all of those things for being in our lives here today. And so as we release the dark, we release all of the rest of it as well, and embrace all that is to come. And so I affirm right here and right now that we are standing in the light. Not only that, we are the light. We are showing up as the presence of God, as it says. And light is an aspect of spirit. And so today we show up as that aspect of spirit, with energy and ideas and renewal and enthusiasm and joy, and with openness that says, yes, I am embracing all of the fullness of life, the entire sky. I am so grateful for all of this, and so grateful for you. And so I release and anchor my talk with "and so it is." Thank you.